Thanks for joining Frequency today. This is another episode of Frequency Check. I'm your co-host, Denise Mahaffey, and this is my lovely co-host, Tasha Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
Our guest today is Catherine Chipman. She's the founder of the Free. You can go ahead and Google her. There's a wealth of information on her website about how energy frequency affects our bodies, affects our mental health, and how you can raise your vibration. So it's very important for the human biofield. It's very important to get, I wouldn't say comprehensive understanding of quantum physics, but a basic understanding of quantum physics and how it affects each of us on a daily basis. Our topic today is really interesting. It is the Schumann resonance. And what that is it's our home planet, Gaia, Earth, and the Earth has its own energy frequency. What happens is as lightning erupts from the ground, the frequency then goes into the ionosphere and it kind of self-regulates. And we're sandwiched in between. So some of the health symptoms that you may be having tonight is vertigo, these crazy symptoms that may have you thinking that you have lost your faculties. You're not crazy. That's what we're all about, is to tell everybody that we're all energetic beings. We're spiritual beings having a human experience on this planet, and we're all in this together. So for the frequency band, our community, this one's for you.
We're going to go way beyond the Schumann. We're going to talk about frequency and vibration and how it affects our human biofield as we go through the ascension symptoms.
So the first topic that we're going to be talking about is the human biofield. Catherine, would you like to explain how energy frequency affects the human biofield?
I would love to. I want to give a little bit of a background of a story about me. I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, and I had a health problem with Epstein-Barr and Lyme disease and heavy metals and mold, and it put me near my deathbed. And I thought for sure I was going to die. I felt very lonely. I expected certain people to be there for me, and they just weren't. And it was a deep, dark journey of the soul. And in that, I was given the information to start studying frequency. And I started doing that to focus on healing my body. And so I studied the Schumann resonance and the planet's frequency. I studied the human biofield, which is our frequency. I studied the frequency history of the past, like Dr. Royal Rife, who has a very specific frequency for every single ailment that's out there. And even now today, you see doctors using resonant frequencies to bust cancer in a body without an invasive surgery. So sound is a very, very powerful, primal existence, and that has been in our environment and our nature since the very beginning. When we come in as babies, the first thing we hear is sound, and the last thing we hear when we leave is sound. So this is the frequency and the vibration that many things exist on. And we're one of those things, being an energetic being. And our biofield is our overall frequency of our body. Our heart may have heart problems, and it may have lower voltage in our heart. We may have lower voltage in our knee or in our brain if we have mental health stuff. But the brain has only 5 frequencies. We know what they are, ranges. And there's all sorts of ways that I hope today I can educate everybody watching on what they can do to have their most optimal health and well-being by understanding the human biofield and by understanding how frequencies and media and music and food and your clothing and your choices of relationships and your interactions and your inner thoughts all are vibrational and they all affect our overall human biofield. So when you're in a place where you're so sick and it seems so bad, there are things that you can do to raise your human biofield. It's the single most important thing anybody can do when they are feeling challenged, because we are in a world of the frequencies are going kind of crazy. The amplitudes of the Schumann resonance have been going off charts since 2017. It started on Easter Day, ironically. And the Schumann resonance stays kind of pretty equal at a 7.83 hertz. That's the culmination of all of the frequencies and all of the amplitudes. But when you break it down further, you can see these amplitudes are going in ways that we've never really seen before. A lot of people talk about ascension, and that's literally the vibration of the body going higher. So as our human biofield and we raise our vibration, our audio and our visual spectrums will start to expand, and we start to have experiences that can really make you feel crazy. And it can make you question your own reality, but you're not alone. And we have these amazing women today. I'm so happy to be here. We've all been through the same thing. We've all have been through a health journey where we were near death. We went to the other sides. We had spiritual awakenings, and we're here today based on frequency. And it's just like Tesla said, everything is frequency and vibration. When you start to understand that, you start to understand the aspects of the universe that we are directly and intrinsically tied to. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. So as you were speaking, I was channeling, and one of the things that I was being guided to ask you to speak about is, where did you get the information from in order to start healing your body? Because it is important for viewers and listeners to understand that we have been trained in our culture and in many cultures around the world to go to the doctor to find the answers, or to go to a spiritual leader of any form or fashion to seek the guidance. And so I think it's really important to talk about when you're very sick and you're in your bed and you can't move or you can't leave your house. It's not so easy to even get to the doctor, or it's not so easy to necessarily call and talk to someone on the phone or even have a Zoom conversation because you're just so very sick. And so can you speak to, where did you get your knowledge from, or where did you get your information from in order to start healing your body? Because so there's a thing. Okay, so all of the conversation that we had before we hit the record button, or before this, I call the backstage. And so I edit that and then I put it up as like the backstage. Okay, so we were having the conversation earlier, but it's important, so important for viewers and listeners to understand that when you're on the spiritual journey, it's very imperative that people understand, when you start to go within to look for the answers, how the answers come down and where they come from. So can you explain that a little bit?
You nailed it. It's all on the inside. It's all on the inside. In my personal situation, I like to ask for verification when I feel like something is a download or a channel, or it's coming from spirit, or in my case, I believe it's coming from higher versions of ourselves, and we have lower versions of ourselves speaking to us and connecting with us all the time. So it comes from within. And the only path that I know how to get there is through extreme meditation, which I didn't do. I thought I had a meditation practice and I was a spiritual person. But when I was on my deathbed and I thought this is it, and I'm sitting there alone and I have a lot of time, I'm tired of getting gaslit by the doctors who don't even recognize Lyme disease or mold or these things. They're clearly neurotoxins, you know. I couldn't remember names of people around me. I couldn't eat. I lost 60 pounds in a very, very short period of time, you know, and I did it by myself, and I did it while I got a divorce. So if you can imagine, it was really like I just got really clear, whoa, I'm this down and the person I'm with isn't kind even. That's,
Yeah.
you know, that is a horrible thing. And there was moments where you think death would actually be easier. But what's so magical is when you get out of that victim mentality and you just accept things for what they are, and you stop trying to fight it, and you start working with it, and you go inside. So I laid in bed and I meditated for months. And I had, you know, every time I would get a download, I would get a confirmation.
Yeah.
And I think that we all have our guides or our higher versions of ourselves, but we don't use them for everyday stuff. Just the
Yeah.
other day, I was like, I got to do this computer thing. I don't know how. Spirit, show me.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time. That's
Something
how I
so
learned how to
simple.
edit
And
videos.
then you do it and you've never done it before and it works. And you're like, that's a confirmation.
Yeah.
It's a confirmation that I was laying in bed learning about the Schumann resonance of the planet's frequency and how our body's entrained to that. Every single human being on the planet is in training to the planet's vibration all the time. We are all in one human race, and we are one, but we're doing this together. It's the single biggest thing that's happened to every single human in real time.
Yeah.
Yet it's kind of this like little science over here that doesn't get paid a lot of attention to. So for me, it came from inside, and I got verification. Studying the Schumann, I got to see the first amplitudes, and I thought, oh, that I can trust. I can trust this communication as, you know, love and light and something that's going to help me, something that's not pretending or that's not fake, that I am making this intentional choice to go higher. The monks will study their entire life for that vibration at that moment of passing. Because you look at a tuning fork and you hit one tuning fork and then you hold another one near and it resonates to the actual vibration of this one. That's what they believe. You tune yourself your entire life. Your moment of passing determines where in this astral realm you're going to go. And they have the bardos and all sorts of different beliefs about that. But the training is, this life training is about attuning our bodies and raising our vibration as high as we possibly can. Because when this meat suit is gone and we transfer over, because all three of us have been to the other side and can verify it's there. And when you go there, you know, you're going to, I don't understand how it could be anything except you're going to go with the vibration where you're at when you leave this physical body.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important not to give up. Not to give up, ever give up, because you can raise your vibration and die. And I promise you, it doesn't end. I can promise you.
Yeah.
So that's how I learned to trust my inner guides and my inner voice and downloads or channeling or whatever everybody wants to call it, is that I get verification and I ask for verification. And so that was really helpful for me. Really interesting on that note, we've all had these moments where we're in the flow and things go great, and we're out of the flow and, you know, you're just fighting to, you know, to get up this hill. I called a friend of mine I hadn't talked to in 10 years, and he had just landed that day before from Bali into Boulder, Colorado. And he was investing in a company and wanted me to go read the CEO of the company. He wanted to know if it's a good company to invest in. And it turned out to be the Science Resonance Foundation Technology Group, which is all about. So here I am, my first trip out of bed, and I'm sitting with these brilliant people who have
There you
spent their
go.
entire life around frequency and technology. Confirmation,
Yep.
chills, confirmation. And it can be so simple, so learning to trust that and learning to play with it and learning to be able to tap into it and slow your mind down, because all of this stuff going on, it's very unimportant, it's very distracting, and it was designed that way with our phones and our computers to keep our vibrations lower. And it's very important to disconnect, put your feet on the ground, and close your eyes and focus on your breathing and let your thoughts come and go, but go to that still place, because something in between there is a nothingness where there's everything. It sounds very Jean-Paul Sartre, but it's true,
Yeah.
there's everything in there, and inside is just as vast as the universe on the outside. And we're all on a journey discovering it. I don't even know if one lifetime you could know it all. It's so vast and it's very underestimated. And so that's how I learned to communicate with higher timelines or higher energies or vibrations as a tool to raise my vibration in this physical body, which has, I wouldn't say heal me, but I am healing and I'm doing amazing. And I'm light years away from where I was. And I loved your story, Tasha, about, the astrology and using that as a tool to know when this is going to end so you can have an insight. It's like planning your vacation so you can get through your work or something, and like that's important stuff, like having something to look forward to or using all of the tools that we can to get through this process. Because as the Schumann's resonance, the amplitudes push us, we're these little bitty bodies on top and it's pushing us, so we think, I think the world's so crazy right now, but you look at it and you're like, okay, here's, the ground where we are, here's some lower energies existing down here. As we as a collective raise up to here, this has to come with it. And this is the direction that we're going to go. And right now we're seeing it all. And it's like, oh my God, how do you keep a high vibration in this world?
Yeah.
And this is what's really important for the listeners to know, is that your human biofield, they can measure it like out to many feet, but 6 feet is, generally accepted how far they can measure your biofield. And some people see colors and call that auras, but it's a legit scientific measurement. Your brain is running on brain waves, like a delta brain wave. When you dream, you're between 4 and 6 hertz. It's very specific. Cancer has a vibration. Epstein-Barr has a vibration. Spirochetes for Lyme have a vibration. Your thoughts have a vibration. Your clothes have a vibration. Your music has a vibration. Your relationships, your food, it all has vibrations. And when you open yourself up to that world and you start using all of these tools to help get better, you're going to get confirmation that it's working. And if you don't, you ask for it. And if you don't get it, you're on the wrong path. Don't trust that one. Look somewhere different. Go deeper, whatever you have to do, because it doesn't end. And we're all in it together. And it's all about raising the vibration of the human biofield. And that, my friends, is ascension.
And
many people talk about ascension on
well,
a
and
scientific level.
we've been trained, that if we listen to the voices in our head, we're crazy. But like you said, when you have those voices come in and you hear those voices, right? If you have doubts, you can ask for confirmation. And so for me, I don't want to say I didn't ask for confirmation, but I was in such a state of surrender and trust that I would, because it would be, it was basically like this. I would receive information about, go look up this very specific thing online.
Exactly. Yes.
Go Google this specific thing. And then I would look up that specific thing. And then I would read an article, you know, medical journal, whatever. I would read that. And then in that, it would give me a word. And it would say, stop right there. Now take that word and then now go and Google that word and look up that thing. And so for me, it was this basic chain linked process that, even though sometimes it would be hours and hours and hours of what people would call, you know, the rabbit hole, the end result of it was finding the exact information. So not only understanding the process and the underlying reasoning behind why I was guided to the information that I was guided to find, but also understanding exactly how to implement and how to use the information in order to recover fully. And even though I still have health challenges that I'm recovering from now, I'm still healthier than I ever have been my entire life. And I can function on a different plane of existence in a different way than I have my entire life. And so I think that that's important too, is that because my son, he will just ask a yes or no question, and then he'll have some kind of coin toss, coin flip situation that he was telling me about, and he's 10 years old. But for me, it was just, it's so undeniable that this piece of information that led to this piece of information, and then you string all of that together, you see the totality of it, you use it, and it works. That's undeniable,
That's
right? For me,
exactly how it happened for
that
me.
was my confirmation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happened for me too. I was curious what your experience was, Denise.
My experience was similar to both of yours. I went through the dark night of the soul. It started mid-January 2022. It continued through mid-January of 2023. So it was the full length of the Scorpio-Taurus conjunction.
Mhm.
Interestingly enough, my former partner in life, who passed away in 2018, I was just grief-ridden. And that was the trigger for Kundalini. That was the trigger for my spiritual awakening. And I really had to do, as he used to describe, you go to the river alone. And the funniest part is, you're speaking about confirmations and all of that. My confirmations came in the form of multimedia. So it was, go buy the entire volume of Northern Exposure and watch it. And I'll tell you what, from a pop culture standpoint, it is phenomenal. The entire series covers spiritual ascension in 6 seasons. There's one episode where Maggie will go to the river alone on her 30th birthday. She writes all her letters out to the universe and drops them in the river. And then she sees all of her former love partners gathered together, giving her feedback. I mean, it's funny how they put it, but literally once you're able to peel away layer after layer after layer of trauma, if you're going through depression, which is something that I have in my genetic background, I refused pharmaceuticals. I absolutely refused from the age of 17 when it was recommended to me. And I said, no, I'm going to get through this naturally. So that was my commitment to myself. I went through this entire process naturally. So naturally, as I'm going through the spiritual awakening process and I'm getting these hits to watch this, it would go from pure comedy into quantum physics documentaries. And then it would go into sci-fi, which was based on historic information where the intelligence community was leveraging folks like us who are highly sensitive people, HSPs, for premonition. And my ability to channel and be an intuitive, I have experienced premonition many, many times in my life, receiving confirmations about that. So that whole series of confirmations allowed me to comprehend that I'm not crazy. I'm just hardwired this way. So that's what my spiritual guides were telling me. You're just hardwired this way. And once I was able to accept that this is my gift, it's not a curse, then the books started channeling, because when I was pushed to the edge on the other side, I was able to see this realm that is just so beautiful, so full of love, so full of laughter. It's a place where when you do cross over and you lose your meat skin, you lose the encapsulation of your spirit in a body, and you become pure energy in a state of pure energy once again. Um, it's just so full of love and laughter that you just really want to stay there. Yet I told my higher self, I said, look, if there's something, I have done things on this planet to improve humanity, improve the quality of life for humanity, straight across the board. And I said, look, if that was it, great, I'm ready to go now. I've made my peace. If there's still something left for me to do, higher self, get your butt down here, because I'm dying. I'm literally dying. And the state that I'm in right now is not the state that I'd like people to remember me in. So that's when I just, as you said, Catherine, as you know, Tasha, you just let go and let spirit take over. And what I ended up channeling was the story. It was a continuous story that just flowed. And it was like this comedy, this sci-fi comedy that was playing out in my conscious awareness. And I was able to pull it all out from memory and publish it in 2 books. So that experience is now provided to the world, where you can have a good laugh. You can have a good laugh at life, relationships, grief, all the things that we go through on this journey in life. And if you can't laugh about it, what can you do? Right. So it was my gift to channel terrifying grief into good grief. So that was the ultimate confirmation that I experienced.
Hey, we're taking a short break to say thank you so much for watching Frequency Check. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all of our other social media platforms. And most importantly, don't forget to buy us a coffee and check out our coffee shop.
One of the things I think that's really important in the journey of this is what we've all done is we've reframed experiences to find the benefit and the opportunity that is in them. The whole time I'm watching your background like emanating, and it's reminding me that's what our biofield is doing. We are interfacing with the quantum field. And one really interesting piece of science what is that they have, and I learned this from meeting Nassim Haramein, his studies and the unified field, and many, many scientists before him. And many scientists will be after him. But what they've done, and I don't think this was him specifically, but I learned about it from him, is that they have measured a grain of sand of this space over here. And this little bitty grain of sand has enough energy to power our planet into infinity. Think about that. It's absolutely crazy that just one little grain of sand of space right there has enough energy to power our entire planet into infinity. So our biofields are interfacing with this insane quantum field that is as intelligent as our bodies. And that's why, we've all experienced, oh my gosh, you just called us thinking about you just now, because our vibration and our human biofield then interfaces with the quantum field, and it has infinite energy. This is where coming together as humanity, we can actually accelerate the vibration going higher, and we're all going to hopefully acclimate to it. Just like if you scuba dive or you go up in the sky, it's a physical process. It's not easy. It's important to remember, though, that we all chose this and we came here for this. And this is one of the most powerful times on our planet. We are in unprecedented, powerful times where even the sun has data in it. The sun brings frequency and the sun brings vibrations.
Light codes.
We're at light codes. We're having these insane solar flares. Our bodies are upgrading. We can feel it. Our friends are changing. Our jobs are changing. Our home locations are changing because we're vibrating at a different vibration every day. And once you understand that and you get on the plan, you know, you may think you're starting at the bottom like we all were, because death is the greatest teacher. There's no question about it. But that is an opportunity. You've been chosen to go through this process, and you're strong enough to do it. We did it. We all did it, and we survived it. And now we're on the other side, and we understand things a little bit differently. We see things a little bit differently, and you watch the world go crazy, which if you pay attention to what's going out there, you will be depressed. It's horrific. But it's important to remember the power we actually hold as souls on this planet through our biofield, through our frequency and vibration, and how that interfaces with the quantum field goes into, it has infinite energy behind our thoughts, infinite energy behind all of our thoughts and all of our interactions. That's why people move delay lines and they plant down and they go for it for all of humanity, you know? This is why, like, if you like astrocartography, you may find, or astrology, you may find with the astrolocational astrology, you have these power places on the planet, you know, where you can be more effective. And so there's all sorts of like, amazing is it literally is like, if you just understand frequency and vibration and you just start to inquire into it, then you start to understand a much bigger picture that helped me get from those really hard, difficult, dark places. And that's one of the things that we really try and do on the Frequency Project is, you know, give you these basic foundational principles. Okay, go learn about Bruce Lipton and the work that he does, the biology of belief. You know, he actually measured the frequency of a thought and traced it all the way to your DNA gate. What you believe, the biology of your belief is real. If you look at the CIA Gateway Protocol, we are energy holograms. Your government's telling you that. They're already doing remote viewing and astral dreaming and lucid dreaming. You can listen to frequencies that can take you to these places to explore that. You know, if you're depressed, you can be in bed and you search on any browser, music, frequency, depression. You're going to get tons of content and hit your subconscious, because that's where 90% of the show's going down. So listen to it while you sleep. And on the days I thought I was going to die, I listened to affirmations that resonated with me. And I would listen to them all night while I sleep with solfeggio frequencies, with binaural beats, isochronic tones, not as easy to listen to, but also just as effective for brain neural pathways and things like that. So there's so much available that's free. It doesn't cost a thing. So when you're driving in your car, instead of listening to that rap music that has like the best 808 beat ever, you know, but the lyrics are low vibration, think about it. Don't choose that. Listening to that is choosing that. And we all know the music industry is backtracking and putting all sorts of vibrations into the music that is not going to raise your human biofield. And so everything is a choice, you know. Are you going to go get the food at, you know, the local farmer? Because I can tell you it's going to have a higher vibration than even going to Whole Foods and having Bill Gates appeal all over it. You know, you're going to wear, you know, petroleum-based clothing that's going to be lower than your Biofield. It's going to take you down. You know, some of the highest vibrational, really interesting, another study I wrote about on frequencyproject.com. Guess what the highest vibration is of the human that we can create is the human biofield. It's not love. I bet you guys have seen it. Do you know what
Oh,
it
I
is?
know this. Hold on. I gotta think of, it's not, okay, so there's something.
Authenticity.
Authenticity, 5 times greater vibrational raising than love.
Yeah.
Being authentic to who you are, you know, and being your best version and being of service, because all of us have come out on the other side, and that's what it's about. It's
Yeah,
about
the hero's journey that we talk about all the time.
it's about helping other people who, you know, and there are people who helped me along the way. It's giving back, you know, so it's all about doing this together, because when you have those resonance between the two tuning forks, you know, that's what we have to work with, folks. That's what we have to work with. And so, excuse me, it's very important that we choose everything wisely. To give an example of like how far I went, it wasn't just listening to videos. I had zappers that kill you know, like bugs in you or worms or, you know, parasites. I got pure rose oil from India that has the highest vibration of all the foods and all the herbs. I bathed in it. I anointed with it. I meditated with it. I cooked with it. I digested it. I did everything. I had, you know, blowing rose mist everywhere in the room, you know?
Same. Every day I spray my bed with rose water. I eat rose jam. I put rose oil in my shampoo and conditioner because rose has the highest vibrational frequency of any flower.
Absolutely. There's all sorts of ways that you can raise your human biofield, you know. But if you're like, say you have addictions, you know, and a lot of us have sugar addictions. It doesn't even have to be heroin or meth, you know, or alcohol or whatever. But what happens is wherever that started in the earth and every single thing it went through to get to you goes into your body, you're digesting all of those vibrations too. And it's so awesome to see how like new generations treat cocaine like, you know, it's really bad and it's horrible. It's death and it's violence and it's trafficking and it's murder and it's petroleum and it's farmers being forced to work to build coca in Peru, and it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And people think, I'm going to go have fun this weekend and I'll do a little of this drug or that drug, but they're not taking into consideration the frequency that is culminated to that thing that you are ingesting that you now have to alchemize. Yeah. And it can even be poison on food. It's everything is frequency and vibration. And this is the game, you know. It's time to be bold. It's time to get with it. Don't worry about dying. It's not real. There's something on the other side. Right now, get right with yourself and with spirit and focus and learn, you know, what is all this about? What was Tesla saying when he meant that? Because your spirit guides will guide you and you will get confirmation. You're not crazy, and your body might die, but you're not going to die. And I can say that because we've all three gone through this hero journey and gone to the other side, and we've learned some things, you know,
and come back to tell the story and to share it with other people and to know and to allow other people to know that it's possible. You can do it. You need to have some guidance. One of the things that I wanted to ask you is in Frequency Project, can you take us through some of the steps so when you have clients come to you, you have people come to you, can you take us through a little bit of what that journey looks like for when you assist people in their journey?
Yeah, so it's free. There is nothing that costs. There, we have a store, but we're not monetized to do that. And soon we're going to be offering just free frequency prescriptions. So if you're stuck or you're struggling or you're just exhausted, you know, we want you to reach out so we can actually start to build a database of what's successful and what's not. We can all work together to do that. What I learned from also Dr. Bruce Lipton is I said to him, I met him when I was so sick. And I said, Bruce, how can I like have this high vibration that I'm healed when I'm like puking in the porcelain gods, you know? Like that's some Jedi moves. I don't have them. What do you got? You know, I need something else. And so he told me to go study these two cases of these two women, which you can look it up online, that had multiple personalities. One of them changed eye color based on her personality because her belief system was that one personality had blue eyes and one personality had green eyes. And you can always tell which personality she was in because of the color of her eyes. Amazing, right? It gets more amazing. He also showed me another case of a multiple personality woman whose cancer diagnosis would switch off and on, depending on the personality. Completely cancer-free, you know, cancer all over her body. That is nothing short of miraculous. That we aren't multiple personalities, but that's the power of the mind. And to understand that, you have to start to explore cellular biology and quantum physics, but it doesn't really have to be that overwhelming because there's so many people who have now bridged that gap of spirituality and science, like Joe Dispenza, who healed his body, miraculous story, healing his body with his mind. Greg Braden, Dr. Bruce Lipton, the Resonance Science Group, Nassim Haramein. You know, that there's so many different people that are out there that are such great resources to make these connections. So you don't have to go be a
Three of
scientist.
us.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be a scientist, you know, and that's what the frequencyproject.com is about too. It's about, okay, I'm going to find the most powerful stuff that I can share with you so you can start your journey into frequency and vibration and how that can change your life. We hear a lot of people go, oh, manifestation, vibration, you know, and a lot of it feels, you know, kind of funny, but there's some elements to it that are very true because the vibration that you vibrate at, you're again going back to those tuning forks. I have them right here. I have all my tuning forks. I should have brought them out for this, but you know, it's the same thing with your life. You're right here on the vibration. And this is where you're at. You work to get yourself up here. This is where your life's going to start showing up. It's the law of resonance. It can't be any other way, you know? So it's just fascinating work. I've made it my life mission to really help people learn about what I was taught that literally saved my life. And on the other side of it, I just am so passionate about sharing it with everybody. And when you get to meet people like you all and people who like go off on these like insanely educated tangents of study, it's and they actually pull in our spiritual selves and realities into that, and they start making sense of things. It's just absolutely mind-blowing, just mind-blowing of the potential. And for me, I was so sick. I had so many different pills. I had big pieces of paper. This is what I do in the morning. This is what I do in the afternoon. I take this pill. I do that thing. I zap the parasites on my stomach. I drink the little rose water. I mean, it was crazy. I was like, you know, and just focusing on frequency and my biofield just simplified the whole process.
Yeah.
Because underneath all the illness is the voltage problem. And your doctor's not going to tell you that, but a scientist will. And it's all about raising our biofield. Our planet is helping us, the amplitudes and the lights coming in. So this is the program. You get with the program or you're going to have physical consequences of it. You know, so it's time. It's an interesting time. What's going to happen? I actually read about a tribe once that vibrated at 500 hertz when they were born. I would love for you guys to help me find them. Any of your listeners, please let's find them, because we're born about 100 hertz. What's different for them? Do they see different things? Do they hear different things? Do they live longer? Very interesting things are starting to happen, and it's never happened in our history that we've been told, you know. And so it's an amazing opportunity, and there's so much support available for people to live their best life with just a little bit of understanding of how to focus their energy, because it can start to get really crazy. But if you just focus on raising your biofield, there's magic waiting for you.
One of the channeled messages that came through to me as this whole ascension process was happening, and it's been a 5-year process so far, was not to perceive reality out there, perceive reality inward. So there's an old comedy, Mork and Mindy, where he had his little nanu statement that he would make, and that was
Supposedly their house is here in Boulder, the one that.
Oh my goodness.
Confirmation.
Thank you. But the channeled, so I'm clairaudient, predominantly clairaudient. So I hear more than I see. And I heard nano, which was the confirmation of it's so tiny on a molecular level, on a quantum level, to keep going smaller and smaller and smaller, and to keep turning inward and going inward. And that's where I was taken to have the concept of infinity, and that life is a progression. It does not end. There is no beginning and there is no end. We're just all together on this planet as a conscious community in individual encapsulated bodies experiencing these energy fields together. So as you're able to turn inward, that's where the answers are, meaning you have all the answers. You just have to find out what your resonant frequency is. And as Catherine is saying, work with where you're at currently and use the modalities that are available to you. They're free on frequencyproject.com. Go and find what resonates with your biofield, and you'll feel it intuitively. You'll feel it. And being able to increase your vibration. It's ascension is an inside job, is what the ultimate message was. It's an individual sport. Life is an individual sport.
Yeah.
It's an extreme sport. It is not for the lighthearted. Every single being that is conscious and awake on this planet, we all signed up for this before we got here. So that being said, I'm very excited for Catherine's book that is in the process of being published. It's called Rising from the Ashes, The Journey of Frequency and Vibration. It is, from the excerpt that I read, it is a gift to humanity. Thank you, Catherine, for taking the time to write it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's so funny. I totally forgot about that book. This is just a book of a culmination of women empowering women. And so I'm just going to be a very little small part of that book as one of the many women who are empowering other women like we're doing today. And mine is a story of frequency and vibration and health and well-being. And, you know, realizing and thriving in our lives, and how I got there, and all of that. The book that I do have that I haven't published yet, but it's all about raising your biofield. It's all of the things that I did to raise my biofield, to get better and to get my life back, and to have better relationships, and to have better gastro stomach stuff, and to have better thoughts and better friends and better experiences and opportunities, and all of that, from just like a deep, really dark place of death, you know. And it was a real journey for me. So I want to get specific in the second book about what are the actual tools. And I would love to hear from readers and women like you. Anybody can email me at info@frequencyproject.com. I would love to hear and create a book together of what we all did, you know, to actually raise our biofield, to increase the quality of our lives and our experience as we're here. There's, you know, I was thinking how just really everything has vibration, and like the, you know, the plant and the thing behind your head, Denise, or even this cup, you know. And I see a lot of people that have, they've had abandonment issues, or they have had a lack of in their life, which is easy to happen on this planet, especially when you're existing in other places that are non-monetized or more spiritually based, and not monetized like capitalistic based, you know. But when you have your house full of things and it's cluttery, remember all those things have energy too. Because I don't know if you've ever seen, you know, people who are like hoarders, and they have so much stuff and their energy is so low. It's like these things are all waiting on top of their head, you know. So I just wanted to add, it's really important to also know even things have energy. Everything brings you up or it takes you down. There's very little right there in the 0 point field except you and your soul. And so I could, you know, have this shirt. This one brings me up, you know. It's not the perfect fabric, but I love the colors, you know. And so everything doesn't have to be perfect. It has a lot to do with the intention and recognizing and having your intuition. Is this resonance and it's going to take me higher, or is this dissonance and it's going to take me lower? What you eat, what you listen to, that's the beginning process, is starting to really trust your inner self to understand, is this resonance or is this dissonance? Because that's where the rubber hits the road and your biofield starts to go that way. You know, if you're not listening to that, and you can't start feeling things right at the get-go, resonance or dissonance. You know, if it's dissonance, you're going the wrong direction. And there's also, you know, times through the healing process where you have a legitimate detox and it looks bad, but you're getting better.
Yep.
So that's really important to acknowledge, like not to get too hung up and stuck on anything, because the more you resist, the more difficult it is for you to get through. And when I had my near-death experience, I had violent body shaking for 5-6 hours. I don't know why I didn't go to the hospital, but I agreed that it was okay for me to die at that moment. But what was really interesting, again, it goes back to the power of the mind. I decided to let my body shake like a animal would do if they got hit by a car, you know, shake it off if they can, hopefully, you know, but they shake. And I made the mental decision to stop fighting the violent shaking of my entire body, and to start letting it shake all of the trauma off, and it stopped immediately. And then I thought, oh my God, I'm so glad I don't have Parkinson's or something, you know, like it's all in my head. I have complete control. And then it started up again. So there's a humble process too. There's a humility there. There's a trust, and there's a humility that is, I think, part of that equation, like you were talking about, Tasha. you know, like where does it come from and how does it happen? And, you know, like how can we get through it as painlessly as possible and be our best versions, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for being on. And we have a little sign off that we do, and it is time is precious. Thank you, Catherine, and thank you, our listeners and viewers, for spending yours with us.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
so
then
much.
And then that's the end of that.